This week is National News Literacy Week. Tonight we see what happens in a day inside one of our newsrooms. Plus, a former area fire chief is dead following a fire. We look at the life of Ronald Boosie. And the mild weather continuing today, but will it continue? Your 25 News starts right now.
Connecting the Brazos Valley. This is KRHD News.
Thanks for joining us at 10. I'm Naya Gonzalez. The Grimes County community continues to mourn the tragic and sudden death of former Navasota Fire Chief Ronald Boosie and his wife Donna. Both died after their home burned down last week. Just days after, many in the Navasota community remain shocked and devastated.
He was real jovial. He had a great personality. He did well with people. He's going to be missed.
He started his career in the early 1970s and served as chief from 1992 to 2003. Fire marshals are still investigating what caused the Friday fire. Funeral services are currently pending. Fire departments across the country are having a hard time finding new firefighters right now. Here in the Brazos Valley, it's no different. College Station Fire says it's dangerous but rewarding.
It's a hard job. Yes, it's physically demanding. It's sometimes emotionally demanding, but there's a really high level of satisfaction that comes from doing this job because you get to go help people on their worst day when they have to call 911. You get to go out and help them solve that problem.
Benefits include paid time off and bonuses. Apply online today at cstx.gov/fire. Texas A&M Forest Service reporting the Rolling Pines fire in Bastrop County is now 100% contained. 812 acres of land were burned in what started as a prescribed burn a week ago. Crews will continue to monitor the area and begin fire containment line rehabilitation this week. The city of College Station is saying goodbye to the old City Hall. Demolition crews began tearing down the south and east sides of the building today. It should take about 6 weeks to finish that. Plans for the site include transforming it into a green space and additional City Hall parking. This week is National News Literacy Week. It's our chance to shine a light and show you what news is supposed to be transparent and honest. Here at 25 News, all week long, we're taking you behind the scenes, showing you the decision-making process and how we make a newscast. We want you to know where your news comes from, how we write the words you see and hear, and the process we go to make sure it's factual. Tonight, our Austin Walker shows us how it's all done.
The day starts like any other job, getting ready and not looking like a slob. Obviously, it's not that fast. Next, getting on the morning meeting with the news team. Because of COVID-19, our meeting is virtual. This is where our reporters will pitch their stories for the day and managers will decide what we work on.
And you had some good stats, too, that I really liked for your piece, so.
Once we have our assignments, we're off. My story for the day was about Texas jobs. A report by the Texas Workforce Commission said the Abbott administration created over 50,000 more jobs in December, but this raises questions like, why are we seeing so many more help wanted signs? Next, I made a plan of who I wanted to talk to. Talk to the TWC that put out that report, talk to businesses who are struggling to hire even though there are more jobs, and finally, talk to an expert in economics answering the question, where is the disconnect? At 25 News, our reporters are multimedia journalists, or MMJs. Think of it like a one-man band. I reached out to the Texas Workforce Commission, left a message hoping to land an interview. I made some calls, found a restaurant who was struggling to hire, and I also spoke with James West, a professor of economics.
Aren't enough.
I didn't hear back from the commission, but that's okay. Once I get all my elements, I went to work. I wrote my script and sent it off to our management team, who goes line by line through it. They fact-check, rewrite, and clear up the information, making sure nothing can be misconstrued. Once it gets the green light, it's off to record my voice.
Mic check, 3, 2, 1.
Then I work to compose my story. Once it's done, I have to look all professional, check out this transition, then it's showtime.
And what we're actually seeing.
It's also important to remember, this job does have a lot of ups and downs, but we're all family at 25 News, so the stressful days are all worth it. In Waco, I'm Austin Walker, 25 News.
A COVID-19 vaccine specific to the Omicron variant is ready to test. To see how it works, Pfizer is now enrolling healthy adults in trials. They're testing the Omicron-based shots to possibly use as a booster or for primary vaccinations. The original vaccines still offer good protection against severe illness and death, and the current boosters have been proven to further strengthen that protection. We're in the middle of probably the greatest workforce shift in our lifetime. People are quitting, but also getting hired in record numbers, and employers are putting more interest than ever on experience, no matter the position. AARP found in its latest workforce survey that more than 3/4 of companies prioritize skills over education. More employers are also focused on hiring more diverse candidates, which can also mean multi-generational.
Because what they know is a multi-generational workforce increases productivity, lowers absenteeism, and increases employee engagement. All wonderful things for an employer and an employee in a workplace.
And employers say they value soft skills and can teach the hard skills. AARP says the focus on highlighting soft skills in your cover letter and interview. They have an employer pledge program where you can search companies committed to hiring specific workers like older Americans and even veterans.
We really encourage employers to look at the employee based on what they bring to the table and interview that employee to look for a good fit. And don't worry about whether they're 25, 35, or 55 as far as what it's going to cost, because you never know. This may be someone who's stepping back from a more stressful career and doesn't want as much responsibility and maybe will take a lower pay, or has recareered and is into something new now and is expecting lower pay, or has been out of the job market for a while and is not going to expect a big salary.
Tomorrow afternoon, AARP is hosting a free online career summit to the public. Anyone can sign up at aarp.org/summit. There will be webinars on getting through applicant tracking systems, tough interview questions, upskilling and reskilling. Career coaches to chat with and free resume critique will also be available. With a nationwide blood shortage, could artificial blood be the answer in the future? Next in our lineup, how we're getting closer to that being a reality.
High school students have to take the SAT if they want to go to college, but now it's getting some big changes. Straight ahead, see what those changes are next. The housing market remains extremely competitive and expensive. Home prices were up 18.8% in November 2021 compared to November 2020, according to data published on Tuesday. It's one of the 10 biggest year-over-year increases ever recorded. The average home costs about $276,000, but there are signs the market is cooling off a little bit. While November's price growth is near an all-time high, growth was even higher during the summer and fall months. Google is making some changes after complaints it has not done enough to protect users' privacy. The company wants to replace its third-party cookies tracking technology by the end of the year. Under this new technology, Google says its Chrome browser would provide a list of interests based on a user's recent browsing history. And users will be able to delete interests the browser assigns to them or turn the system off entirely. Big changes are coming to the SAT. It's going high-tech. The exam is making the move from paper to pencil, actually from paper and pencil to digital format, as more colleges make standardized testing optional for admission. The College Board anticipates the change will go into effect in 2024. Test takers will be able to use their own laptops, but they will still have to take the exam at a monitored site or inside of a school. The College Board also plans on shortening the test from 3 hours to about 2.
And we have still some clouds that are trying to stick around here in the Brazos Valley. I do think they will be clearing out as we make our way through the overnight hours tonight. But currently, we have partly to mostly cloudy skies, 52 degrees, winds out of the northeast at 7 miles per hour. And that northeast wind will drag some drier air into the region. That will allow the clouds to clear out as we make our way into the overnight hours and into tomorrow. Clouds and radar show on the back edge of those clouds just passing the Hearn area. That will continue to move into Brazos County, so it is clear now in Centerville and Madisonville, which consequently it'll be a little colder up there for tonight. And as we take a look across the state, there are a couple flurries into Oklahoma. A lot of that not reaching the ground right now. There is a storm system out here across the eastern parts of Arizona that's making the turn near I-40, and that is going to throw snow toward the Texas Panhandle after midnight and into tomorrow morning, and even as far south as Lubbock. So they will be seeing snow. We're not going to see anything like that, as that track will be too far north for us. And what will we see on Wednesday? Well, not much. There could be a couple clouds here and there, but I think we'll see more sunshine than what we saw today. So that's some good news, but it will still be on the cool side. Highs will only be in the 50s. Then we get a few clouds in here as we move into Thursday morning. By Thursday afternoon, I do think that the clouds will be thickening up, so it will become mostly cloudy on Thursday, and we will have a chance for maybe a couple of showers late Thursday night into Friday morning. Right now, it doesn't look significant. So tonight, temperatures into the 30s, probably getting at or below freezing where we've already cleared out. Near 30 in Centerville, 33 Franklin and Madisonville. And then as the clouds slowly clear farther to the south, I think we'll get into the 30s, but not quite as cool. And then tomorrow, highs into the 50s for us. Normal is 62 degrees. So we will be below normal tomorrow. And taking a look at the forecast, those temperatures will be coming up into the upper 50s on Thursday, mid 50s Friday with a chance for a few showers. Weekend is looking good, and then maybe some rain chances next week.
The American Red Cross says the blood shortage is the worst it's been in more than a decade. But could artificial blood be the answer in the future? It's something scientists have been working on for decades, but we're getting closer now to this being a new reality.
We're not proposing artificial blood to replace natural blood when natural blood is available. This is intended for a situation that we call BNAO. Blood is not an option. So the option is basically to bleed to death.
Blood in a blood bank stays good for 42 days. Once you take it out of the blood bank and it reaches room temperature, it's only good for about 4 hours and it can't go back. Artificial blood has to be stored at room temperature. In the past, people attempted to create blood substitutes by chemically modifying the hemoglobin, that protein that makes our blood red. But serious safety concerns caused the FDA to shut down all the trials in the early 2000s. And the field went cold for a while. But breakthroughs in other areas of medicine have now enabled a new approach.
What we were able to do is take the hemoglobin out of a red cell and repackage it in an artificial membrane that's like a nanoparticle, so it's very small. And this corrects the safety problems that we have when we have hemoglobin free in blood. And it also allows the artificial cell to imitate the behavior of a normal cell.
That artificial blood, Dr. Alan Doctor and his team are working on a dry powder that stays good for years at room temperature. A medic would just need to mix it with water. Dr. Alan Doctor sees this being used for people before they get to the hospital. They'd be able to perform a transfusion at a crash scene or in the ambulance.
The emergency department is a major drain on the blood supply, and in particular for O negative blood. Which is in a special short supply. And so by bringing these patients in, quote, tanked, then, we save the natural blood for other indications.
He expects the artificial blood he's working on through the University of Maryland and his company Calicite to get FDA approval for human testing in about 2 years. He expects it would be about 5 to 6 years after that before it would be available to use outside of a study. A few other U.S. teams are also working on different types of artificial blood, but they're not as far along with the FDA. Media literacy requirements are becoming more common in schools, but one state has gone as far as requiring a full curriculum. Ahead in our lineup, we're checking out what it's teaching and how it's working.
I love how
big tech companies could be facing new regulations. A bill approved by the Senate Judiciary Committee targets self-preferencing by major tech companies. Self-preferencing happens when an online marketplace gives priority to its own products over third-party ones. Think Amazon promoting its Amazon Basics brands ahead of competitors. Antitrust experts say it's not much different from what you see in other parts of the economy.
You go into any grocery store, you will find brand name products, and you will find the in-house product, the private label product. You'll find Cheerios and you'll find the generic competitor to Cheerios.
The bill is specifically targeted at companies with more than 1 billion monthly users. Companies like Amazon, Google, and Facebook parent company Meta. The bill sets rules for self-preferencing, but also bans companies from exploiting data they received from third-party companies. Legislatures say they're trying to balance the concerns of small business with the rights of the major tech companies.
I want to stress that this bill is not meant to break up big tech or destroy the products and services they offer that many of us, including myself, enjoy and use. Rather, the goal of the bill is to prevent conduct that stifles competition while ensuring that pro-consumer innovations and offerings are still available.
The bill passed the Senate Judiciary Committee with bipartisan support. It will eventually go to a full Senate vote, then must pass the House. Several senators say they expect major changes before any new rules become law. As more focus is put on people experiencing homelessness across the country, we're looking at what's working to address the issue. Advocates say the solution has to be more than just providing services and instead building a system. Shelters are also opening up in areas where they haven't been before, in more suburban places. One of the newest efforts is underway in San Diego. Case managers are checking on progress with homeless people and setting them up with services. It's becoming more challenging for young people to filter out what's true versus what's not. This week, our parent company EW Scripps has once again teamed up with the News Literacy Project. It's to shine a light on better information consumption and sharing. Usher Qureshi looks at a pilot program that is trying to make high school students more critical about the information they find.
They keep adding vocab words for you, but we're just going to stop at tertiary.
This group of students inside Adrian Toomey's 9th grade biology class are learning more than just science.
We have done a couple of lessons on choosing quality sources of information. Why?
For the last 2 years, the Neuqua Valley High School in Naperville, Illinois, has been taking part in a pilot program, integrating news literacy into subjects like biology and geography.
As we go throughout the entire year, it's repeatedly embedding it into how can I use this, and I'm actually applying it in that moment.
Researchers at the Stanford History Education Group recently completed the largest study of its kind, analyzing high schoolers' ability to evaluate real sources online.
Unfortunately, our research has shown that students struggle to make even basic evaluations of online information.
Following 6 years of study, Joel Breakstone, the director of the group, and his colleagues developed the pilot news literacy curriculum being used here at Neuqua Valley.
What we've set out to do is try to help people be more discerning when it comes to the content that streams across their screens.
According to advocacy group Media Literacy Now, at least 14 states, including Florida, Ohio, Texas, and Colorado, have some media literacy requirements, but none go as far as Illinois, which requires a full curriculum.
These are the posters that we put in all of our classrooms.
School librarian Carrie Ori says freshmen here now have a toolkit to help them fact check before they share.
They look at Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat constantly, and we want to make sure that every time they think, ooh, that's an interesting idea, they stop and realize who it is that they're actually listening to.
The curriculum teaches them to distinguish between reliable sources, misinformation, and politically or financially motivated sources.
Even when we're just doing things for fun, it's better to have some sense in your mind. Maybe this isn't exactly what I should be reading, or maybe this isn't exactly what's right. Let me check, just for safety.
Breakstone found that one strategy that helps students weed out dubious information most effectively is something called lateral reading.
So rather than reading up and down on an unfamiliar website, they open new tabs in their browsers and read across the tabs. They read laterally.
So, we're going to define lateral reading.
World geography teacher Deanna Lindsay regularly tests her students with content to determine its reliability.
We have done it at the 9th grade level, hoping that we can scaffold it through all 4 years of high school.
And it appears to be working. Students are getting better at spotting questionable sources.
I don't want to put all my trust into random places on the internet when I don't know who they are, I don't know who they work for, I don't know where they're getting their information from.
Do other sites say the same thing? Is it credible?
Next year, curriculums like this will become mandatory across the state. I'm Usher Qureshi reporting.
All right, Usher, thank you for that report. Well, a final check of our lineup, a new survey finds many Americans feel financially cheating on their partner can be just as bad as physically cheating. The consequences experts say this can have and how to avoid it. Financially cheating on your partner can be just as bad or worse than physically cheating on them. At least that's what 53% of Americans say in a new survey from creditcards.com. It can mean keeping big things from them, like debt or a separate account. But a financial therapy expert we spoke with says hiding the little things can sometimes hold the most meaning. And that can be rounding down on the amount you actually spend, or telling your partner a new purchase is something you already owned or randomly found.
And those little indiscretions sometimes is a sign of that you personally are not self-assured about what you're spending your money on. Maybe you feel a little bit of guilt or shame about your purchases, or you don't feel the ability to be assertive and express your needs to your partner.
Creditcards.com found Gen Z and millennials were the most likely to commit financial infidelity. They say this could be due to the relationship either being new or getting married later in life and being set in financial ways. But Gen Z and millennials are also the most likely to have divorced parents.
They remember what happened when mom and dad split up, and they think, well, all right, I'm going to keep my own little pot of money on the side here in case this relationship doesn't work out.
The thing about financial conflict is we know that it's qualitatively different than other kinds of conflict. We know that it tends to get nastier quicker, that it lasts longer.
It's just uncomfortable. So that's where my advice would be, let's talk about money, do it early and often, and I think that's going to head off a lot of these problems.
Both experts we spoke with agree that everyone deserves a little bit of financial privacy, but it is important to let your partner know the financial aspects you're keeping from them and why. If it's something you can't reach an understanding on, that's when Megan McCoy says to try seeking professional help. She says it can also help to write down financial goals together and look at areas that need improvement. Scientists have taught these rats to use the accelerator and even how to steer. Tomorrow, why this may be a major step in better understanding brain diseases.
Jimmy Kimmel is up next. Good Morning Texas on the air tomorrow at 5 a.m. Thanks for joining us and have a good night.